Hello guys, so 13 months ago I made a video stating the differences from the CSW 2.5 and up to this one. That was the step I did. And at that point I mentioned that I wasn't sure that the €1,000 difference between the CSW as a package and to this one was worth it. So yeah, let me get back to that in a moment. 268 official races in iRacing within this 1 year, as I didn't start iRacing until I had the Podium wheel. 1800 and 2000, that's almost 4,000 laps in this 1 year. I've also been doing qualifying practice and lots of testing, which I would say it's one fourth of this. So I would add maybe 1,000 laps on top of this. So at least 5,000 laps has been done in iRacing, which I primarily race in 1 year with the DD2 wheel. So these will be my conclusions after this amount of racing. It has a working range from when you boot it first time, it's 28 or room temperature 25 degrees in the motor, and it rises to 50. And when you use it hard, it's about 60. And the highest I've seen the number is on 70 Celsius. Talking about the fan at the same time, I remember when it was on 70, I think the fan was running 900 RPM. All other times it's running 630, as you can see in a video right next here. And it's very silent. Naturally I can't hear it because I have earphones on, but it is very, very silent. So yeah, the heat is ranging from 50 to 70 in working conditions Celsius, and the fan is running from 600 to 900 RPM. Another thing about sound, the PSU, when you turn off the unit after it's been used for like a session I have today for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and the fan inside the PSU will keep running for at least 12 hours, maybe more. Sometimes days I just stop by my room and think it's still running. That's kind of weird, but it does. But I've had 0 malfunctions or issues with the system so far. And the quick release system, it has been getting some critique, and I understand why. Like it isn't the best, that's sure. But I'm using the rubber mount, you put it in, or tighten it so it doesn't have any play actually, and it works really good for me. I have 0 broken pins or anything, and I'm actually switching it quite often right now. Because I'm tightening the rubber ring so much, it's actually quite hard to pull it off, and also hard to pull it back in. So it's not ideal. And I'm considering doing a 3D print edition, as you can see some people have done, instead of the rubber ring. So I'm not sure it's gonna be better though. So I haven't done that yet. Another thing I'd like to add is the emergency button. People forget that it's not only an emergency brake, it's also an on and off button for the entire base. And I use that every time I turn. I don't press it here behind. So it's kind of tight in there, whatever. And here it's just really comfortable. So I do that, and a little trick, I don't know if it's still relevant, is that I usually turn on the PC first, and then I turn on Fanalab. I have it auto starting. And only after that I turn on the base, the power for that. And for the emergency button, the brake or the disable function, I've used it 2 or 3 times where in a crash, after a crash, the software, you can see the wheels are wobbling like this in the sim, and if it's hanging on some fence or something like crazy like that. And in those cases, I had the Mclaren wheel. I couldn't catch the wheel because I had lost it. just released when upon impact. And in that case, I was really happy I had the emergency button, because you could not catch the wheel. No way, no how. A round wheel, you can catch that, sure, but not a formula style wheel if it's going mental. So I tried that twice, pushed the button, and that's it. The race is over then. Let's talk about setup and drivers. So, what kind of drivers am I using? So let's go, you can see it up here. Update. So I know there's a new PC driver, but this 352 was the performance update. I'll get back to that in a moment. It works really fine for me, and I've heard people having issues with some of the newer ones. So I'm staying with this one, and you can see what firmware my wheelbase is and the motor. Let's look at the recommended settings from Fanatec's own website, and I based my own setup on that. So I started with these settings, and I can recommend these settings for starters for sure. Yeah, and about these settings, I actually got used to these until the performance update driver arrived. Then half a year later or so, Fanatec did this beta driver, or what they call a direct drive performance update, where they really changed stuff. I was already loving the wheel, and compared to the CSW 2.5, I found it better and more precise and more had a broader spectrum, and it felt more real. I've also, in that time span, tried a CSW again, actually the one I owned before, and it really felt flat, or if you might say. Didn't feel as good this one. But that was before the performance update. This performance update, if you look at the numbers here, they increased the resolution from 8-bit to 16-bit, which I don't know how to explain that, but it definitely gave it a lot more detail. And they added some new features, and I think they made something faster as well. It definitely could replicate things in a way that it couldn't before. So when you updated to this release, it was quite drastic. It made this wheelbase worth every penny, and in the first video I made some years ago, 1 year ago, I was in doubt if it was worth the 1,000 euros extra, and there was a reason I was in doubt, but after this performance update, there is no doubt. Maybe you don't have to go for the DD2. The DD1 has the same engine, motor, so and can replicate the same things basically, just a little lower Newton, and that's fine. So with this update, I think they really nailed it. And another thing, one of the features, I'm not gonna try and get very technical with this, but I found my settings, but here's something they call the force interpolation, and in iRacing, which is running a 60 Hz signal, it's a bit more, you call it digital, and so it can understand the path of the signal, and yeah, make a, as you see, a more analog line between these signals. And in ACC, which I'm not racing currently, you can definitely feel, because it's running 300 versus 60 in iRacing, I think. And the spectrum is amazing on the DD2 now. And let's look at my settings. Just minimize this one. So I'm just gonna run through them briefly. I know it's hard to see on the screen. So you read some of the updates. Steering angle was also expanded if that's necessary. I don't know if it's for truck driving or whatever. But yeah, it's on auto anyway. Overall strength I have on 100. Linearity is off. Natural damper 9. Natural friction 4%. Natural inertia 18. FFB interpolation 2. Some people like to put it up a bit. I think it becomes too soft, to be honest, so I want to have a little more feel. And force effect intensity, I have it on 100. The next two, it's 100. It's the game strength, game spring strength, and the game damper strength, it's 90. They should be irrelevant from what I read, but anyway, this works for me. And brake vibration, doesn't matter. And yeah, vibration strength. But here, brake force, which I really like this feature on Fanatec. If you connect your CS V3 pedals to the base, you can adjust the strength directly on the wheel. I have that on 96, so I have to push pretty hard. I almost can't block the brakes. Of course I can, but you really need to push hard. That's a good thing. And to make a conclusion out of these new features, I think that comparing the CSW 2.5 to this setup, this is basically unfair because it's two very different things. And is it €1,000 more worth? I don't know, maybe, but I would definitely recommend anybody to buy the DD1. So they really get value for the money. With the DD2, you get the warranty, you get maybe a different finish. I bought it because of the warranty. I was a bit disappointed that initially they said that this one is going to have a special engine and the lower tier DD1 is going to have a smaller engine, and they ended up putting the same engine in both, just adding €500 to this one. That felt kind of bad to get that info afterwards. So yeah, I would recommend the DD1 for sure at this point of time, with the performance update and the spectrum and the quality and build of this one. Something a lot of people maybe don't know is it's super heavy, and I can see if I can add a video. Prøv at se, om du kan løfte.
Okay.
Prøv.
Okay. Den er mega tung.
Det er nemlig. Åbn derovre. Det er lige sådan en klik.
Det er så den nyeste familiemedlem.
As an end conclusion, I can say that I'm definitely gonna stay in the Fanatec ecosystem for a while. Wrap it up with some examples of the spectrum of the torque, Newton, in iRacing in a couple of cars, and adjusting the strength in the in-game strength settings. The M8. So as you've probably seen, this rig is flexing quite a lot. I think it's also something to do with the big diameter of this wheel. If I use the Formula wheel, it feels a bit less, because this one I can really be pretty hard on. I can use a lot of forces. Let's go on track. 6. Okay, so the setting is set on 6. Let's do 3 laps. And I definitely wouldn't do endurance with this setting. I'm really able to work against the wheel, you know, with this the BMW wheel. But if it's the Formula wheel, I can't. It's 22.3. The corner. Let's take some gravel with us. So yeah, this is at 6. The M8 on Alton Park. And cold tires, just sending it. Really using a lot of force. This gives you an idea about the forces. I'm really trying to use the extreme on the track use, so you get to see some of the different situations this I give. So yeah, that's 17.4. Really using a lot of force here. 24.6 in a corner. So yeah, it's fun to try, but I definitely wouldn't drive with it like this, even though like here it's all fine. Just try and hit the curb on the top here. Just the left one. No biggie. Right one right there. 24. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of good feedback. Let's hit the grass. So what happens if you hit a wall with your front left or right tire? So I'll hold on. 6. 25.2. So you can see you can hold it if you want to and not get hurt. That you should make a choice. Let go or hold it. As I said, if it's a Formula wheel, it's different. You don't have the same power when you hold it, of course, but when you're driving, you don't have the diameter. Is quite important for how much force you need to use. So that also changes. You should think about what kind of wheel you're gonna use together with your base, if you really care about all these forces. That was 6, and I wouldn't recommend it. I go with 3.5. I think it's my go-to. Go. Let's save it on that for the next race. I've done lots of endurance and the BMW M12 series. So I'm gonna quickly, briefly try a open wheeler, or a different car, if you might say, maybe the Radical on same track, or should I try it? Oh, where's the car? There it is, Radical. Let's just take the same track. You can compare it a bit. See, are we recording? Yeah, we're recording. Radical on Alton Park. It's gonna be crazy. It's a nice, fun little car. And let's try it with different settings. See how that compares to a heavy BMW. Gonna do 2 laps with low setting and 2 laps with high setting. Let's see where it stands right now. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. And don't mind the FOV, because it's copying my desktop right now. Looking at my desktop, this is not how I race. My field of view is completely different to what you see. Yeah, this feels light compared to, but very precise. Let's see. 10 Newton. Compared to what I've just done with the... Oof. Oh shit. Did I ruin the car? Yeah, I ruined the car. Oops. Get out. Is very light compared to... But I think 3.8 for this car is quite good. Okay, let me see if I can finish a lap.
Engage the limiter. Box in 4,270 meters.
What kind of data do I have up? Okay, so here we are. It's super nice and precise. And not too, you can say, not too hard. Is good. But that was 12 Newton. To brake a bit earlier. Not hit those. Tires. The tires are a bit cold. Not the right pressure. So I gotta be careful. Yeah, the car feels really good. 16.2. Just managed to catch that one. The rear end was sliding out. So last lap, and then I'll switch to 13.2, and then I'll switch to the more stronger setting. Let's experience some different materials. See if I can crash on top here. Just really trying to use everything of the track to get a lot of feedback on in the wheelbase. We got that one. So yeah, that's with the setting on 3.8. See what happens if I... Okay. Just want to see. 17, I think, is at the wall. Get out. Okay. So let's put the strength up. 6. Briefly. Let's give it a go. And yeah, the range is 13. So I don't want to try that. Let's give it a go. 1. So yeah, it's already quite heavy. And I've actually never suffered oscillation, but look at this. This car with the high setting like that, it's there. And you can use some of the new features to eliminate it if you want to, you know. But I never have any issues with oscillation with the settings I'm running. Yeah. But in this case, it's definitely bad. Just want to show you. That's 19, so you're not gonna drive like this anyway. Touch. So I just want to show you the range. So one more lap and that's it. $17. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Track limits, keep it within the lines.
And I know my rig is shaking like crazy right now, but it doesn't really replicate when I drive on a regular basis, simply because of this extreme setting. That's fun. Okay, that's it. What happens if I hit the wall here? Yeah, 25.1. So yeah, you better make the choice to hold on to the wheel or let go. And now you see it was actually 71 degrees, the temperature on the driver, and 52 on the motor. And the fan is on 960. Okay. Let's put the car back to where it's supposed to be. If you ask me. 0.9, 0.8, something like that in this car, I think is okay. So, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope it'll help you a little on how this base is with as I said earlier, with the performance update, feel that you really get what you paid for in this case, and definitely not go back to a CSW 2.5, which is a really good wheel. And that's also why I was in doubt initially if this one was worth it, because at that point in May 2019 I was just I had just fallen in love with the CSW 2.5. Yeah, so and then later I found how much I like this one, and then the update came, and it's a no-brainer for me. I'm gonna stay on this system for sure. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hit that like button or subscribe if you like some of these videos. And this is a tech talk I do sometimes when I want to talk about some of my equipment or some general things. And yeah, stay tuned and go race. Adios.